Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Aspasia and this is my channel, Asparagus Reading. Today we're going to be doing a video where I recommend to you any book that can help you complete all your books for your Goodreads reading challenge, or maybe help you get further or closer to that goal. I just want to start off with an apology. There's probably going to be a whole lot of noise in the background. Today is Thanksgiving. I am doing this video a little bit last minute. There's a whole lot of family members in the house. There's dogs barking, there's babies running around, there's TVs going on. So again, I do apologize if there's a whole bunch of noise. So I did do a video recently that hits on a similar topic or a similar discussion, so I'll be putting that video down in the description or up here in the cards. And that video is basically tips on how to read faster or read more books in a year, and a lot of those tips have really helped me and it's also helped other people. So if you're interested in checking that out, I would highly suggest you do so. But just for this video, I'm just going to be recommending different books to help you. And I put those books into 3 categories. That first category is graphic novels, just because that is majority pictures, a lot less words, so it's a lot easier for you to flip through. The second category are books under 300 pages. And the third category is just any books that I would recommend you reading that might be long, just because I was able to fly through them and I really enjoyed them, or I could see it being very easy for someone else to read very quickly. So let's get into the first category, graphic novels. And the first thing that I'm going to recommend to you is the Why Is the Nerve series by Marissa Meyer. So this does follow the crew from the Lunar Chronicles series, but the main character that you see a lot of is Aiko. If I remember correctly, this series, I believe it's 2 books, follows Aiko after the events of one of the 3rd book in the series, maybe it's book 4, and how Aiko has taken a position to do a couple things with Cinder. So basically she has to hunt down these different packs of wolf hybrids that are terrorizing Earth and get them away, because that is part of the plan / deal that Cinder has planned for the Earth. Really just, help them. Because now that Cinder is in charge, she really wants to make things better for the world, make things more at peace with the lunar people and the earthen people. But as that happens, you also see Aiko start to question things about herself, her love, her loyalty, her trust, more about learning about who she is as a person, less of an android, things that she wants to do and things like that. And I really enjoyed that because it gives Aiko, who's essentially an android, more of a personality, more of a human-like character and not just an android. And I really like seeing her explore, okay, so what are my limits as an android and why am I like this? Why do I still have these emotions and things like humans do? How does this affect me and things like that? Like I said earlier, there are 2 books in the Why Is the Nerve graphic novel series. I do believe they're both under 300 pages, and they are primarily pictures and they are in a monochrome blue color, so it should be pretty easy to get through. And the next recommendation I have here is Batman White Knight. You don't have to necessarily read this specific version. I just want to recommend to you anything such as DC or Marvel graphic novels and comics, just because many people out there are fans of this, and to read something that you already really enjoy, you tend to read through it a lot faster just because you're already familiar with it and you already really like it. Another graphic novel series that I have really liked, and I know that is quite popular on the internet, is Heartstopper. This is a graphic novel series about 2 boys, I believe Nick and Charlie. This follows the 2 of them. I think one of them is on the hockey team, the other one has just joined the hockey team, and the 2 of them are becoming friends and they slowly start to build a relationship. But throughout the series you see the different parts of the relationship starting to grow and things starting to challenge that relationship. I do believe one of the characters is not out yet. It may not necessarily be ready to do that, and the other character is, and so that's something they definitely have to go through together. This is a very cute, heartwarming story. I think a lot of people have given this 4 to 5 stars. I have yet to see a really bad review. If anything, it's just about the writing itself. It is a graphic novel. There's a lot of pictures, lots of different colors, a whole lot of things going on with the characters, not just the romance, but with the school and their own lives, so you get to follow more of that as well. Another graphic novel series I'm going to recommend is the Saga series by Brian Vaughan. If you have been on BookTube or any kind of book community online, then you probably already know about this, or at least heard about it at least once. So this is a 9 to 10 book graphic novel series so far. There might be some more, following this husband and wife and their daughter, who are going through this like intergalactic space war. I do believe they did something they technically weren't supposed to do, and now people want them dead, or at least want to question them for some of the things that they have done. And so you're watching that happen throughout these 9 graphic novels and the crazy life of, trying to survive that they go through. I love this. I do believe this is a sci-fi graphic novel, which I typically do not read. I'm not always great with sci-fi. At least I don't really care more for the science part of it. I want more of the fiction part of it. But I really love this. That last one, oh, the ending. I'm really hoping that there's more and he did not just end it like that, because that is rude. Another graphic novel series I think you guys could really enjoy is the Avatar Last Airbender and the Legend of Korra graphic novels. I know I want to say about 89% of the world has watched the show at least more than once, especially since it has been added to Netflix. And if you really enjoy those, I think you would really enjoy reading the graphic novels for both of them, just because those graphic novels do follow the characters after the show has ended. And so the next category is any books under 300 pages. I do have a couple of recommendations here for you today that I really hope you guys pick up and enjoy. So the first one that I have is My Side of the Mountain, and this is about a boy who's living in a not very great living space in New York City, full of family members in the same tiny crowded apartment. And he just, you know, because they are poor, he only has a couple of things that he really has to himself, you know, the bare necessities, unfortunately. And one day he decides to run to the mountains, and obviously that's like, boy, are you crazy? But on his way to the mountains, he really just goes to this journey of discovering his own identity, things that he really cares about himself, discovering things about his family, where he wants to go and what he wants to do with his life, you know, how he's feeling with a lot of things that's been going on, and just overall like a really good character growth story. The next recommendation that I have is under 120 pages, is The Long Walk to Water. So this follows the perspectives of two people and two somewhat different timelines. So this follows Naya and Salva. Naya is a girl who lives in a village who has to take this really long, difficult walk to this river to get some water and make that walk back, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. But the issue with that is it is very draining on her, and they don't get to get a whole lot of water from the river, especially since when they boil it, it trickles down to very little or to nothing, and it's getting to a point where they desperately need it, because I do believe a family member is starting to get sick. Until one day this man and a crew of his people come to their village and starts to talk about building a well. Obviously, if you live in an area like this for years and never seen water come out of a place like this, you'll probably be very confused and curious, and that's exactly what Naya is. And so her story is a journey of her really trying to figure out if they're actually giving them water, why they're giving them water, what would life be like with a new fresh clean water, and how things will change for their village. Now Salva's story is a bit more sad and a bit more traumatic, which I definitely think trigger warnings for this, just because this might really upset you. And for specific trigger warnings on this one, I would say death, murder, being eaten by animals, starvation, sacrifice, suicide, you know, rebellion. It's definitely one of those hard-hitting books. So Salva is a teenager in a completely different village than what Naya is, and one day the rebellious group takes over his village. And so for him to just run away and get away, he has to go on a very long walk, as you can see, a long walk, to really just get away from them. And unfortunately, in the process of doing this, they start to catch up to him, so now he's doing longer and more trips to get away to different countries. And so throughout this series, you see him traveling from different country to country to really find a safe refuge for him and other boys. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, it did really hit really hard, and I did feel a lot of emotions reading this, no matter the times I had read this. But I really enjoyed it because I think it's a really good reminder that we're very fortunate to have that we have. And people like this really do struggle. They go through these things every single day. And to see them with a bit of a happy ending, a little bit of blessing in the end, was just a good touch to such a bittersweet story. The next book I have here for you guys is Accounting Descent by Clint Smith. So I got this about a year or two ago when I first started my college semester. You're supposed to read this for fun over the summer. This is a poetry collection, I believe, about the lives of Black people or Black boys in general. And it's a very personal story about, not just Clint Smith or just in general. And I think this really hit for me just because I could really understand and relate to some of these things. And it was just a very, I really don't know how to explain. Like, I don't have the right words for this just because of how such a beautiful and really impactful poetry this was. Another really good recommendation is A Christmas Story. Now, of course, the end of the year is in December. Christmas is really a good holiday time. You want to hurry up and get as many books done because now Christmas is over. You have less than a week before the whole new reading goal starts. So why not read a classic, A Christmas Story? So this is about 130 pages, if even that. And it's just basically the novelization, the written form of the movie that a lot of people love to watch around the holidays. And I highly recommend just reading this just to give you more of that holiday spirit. And again, just read it very quickly to get to that reading goal. The third category is any books that's probably over 300 pages but can be read very quickly if you really enjoy it. So that first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Of course, this is probably the thickest on this stack, but this I read within a couple of days. This was a amazing, fantastic YA thriller about a girl in high school who definitely she just doesn't feel like the murder that happened in her town 5 years before was really solved all the way. At least she didn't believe that it was done properly. She just feels something's wrong or not completely finished. And so for her high school, I believe her senior project, she decided to really investigate into it. In the process of doing that, she finds out a lot more than she really intended to and starts to just really immerse herself into this case and to figure out what the truth is. I gave this 5 stars, and I read it twice, and I read the sequel once or twice. Holly Jackson, a goddess, a magician. I don't even know what to call her. But whatever she did in this, gold. Whenever she touches paper, gold. I love this. This, amazing. Now, we'll be honest, because it is a thriller, for some people it may or may not read very quickly just because you really want to hurry up and solve the case and figure out what's going on. And I do believe the second one is told in a multiple formats, where there's emails, there's podcasts, there's text messages, there's notes, and regular writing. This one is just straight paragraphs and dialogue all the way through, but there are occasionally like pictures and whatnot throughout it. The next book, which I'm sure you all are kind of tired of talking about or hearing about, is Red, White, and Royal Blue. This is a contemporary romance, new adult novel actually, between the first of the United States and the Prince of England. It's an enemies to friends to lovers book, and this starts off when the two of them have a little bit of an argument at a royal wedding, and they destroy a cake, and that becomes on the news. It's a huge scandal. It's a huge issue for both countries, and so they're put into this pact or whatnot, where they have to fake a relationship to really keep their, like I said, keep good news, keep the countries in good light. It's because of when they crash the cake, people are starting to wonder if that is a representation of the relationship between the two countries and that there's going to be an issue going on. We don't want that. We're trying to get reelected. We don't want that. And so the process of them trying to rebuild that picture for, you know, that public image, the two of them start to become friends and eventually romance. And I will be honest, a lot of people were disappointed just because they felt that the friends to lovers or the enemies to lovers part would take a little bit longer. It does not. I want to say about 150 to 200 pages, they're already, you know, romantic with one another, and then you have about this much of the book left. So I do believe that was quite disappointing for some people, but I do believe if you're okay with that, this is great. I read this very quickly. I think the second time I read took me longer to read just because I really went to enjoy the story and to enjoy more of the writing. I have a ton of sticky note tabs in here. I highly recommend. Next book is Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune. I do believe I did a reading vlog on this, so I'll put that in the cards. So this is about Natalie Tan, who has come back to her hometown after many, many years because her mother has died. Now, the thing about that is her mom is agoraphobic, never wants to leave the house, and so she's very confused as to why her mother decided to leave the house and what happened to her that she passed away. But when she gets to the town, she's also questioning what happened to the town. The town is no longer bustling with business, no longer happy. It's very, you know, old and dusty and sad, and everyone's business aren't doing great. And so when she finds out that her mother has left the family restaurant to her because her mother never wanted her to do that in the first place, she's very, you know, even more curious as to what happened, and had decided to really start to work on building that relationship with the restaurant up and the town really together to really build the town back to where it was. The next book is also contemporary, and that is Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. So this follows two characters, I believe Pepper and Jack. Pepper Jack. And so this has multiple layers to it. Let's just say that. So the first layer is Pepper and Jack are both teenage children of parents who own a restaurant or some kind of family food business. And they are competing businesses just because I believe Pepper's family has created a grilled cheese recipe that is fairly similar, if not exact, to Jack's family, and they are claiming that they copied them, and it's a whole thing, and that tweet online went viral, so there's a whole Twitter war between the two of them online. However, they do not know that the other person is doing the rivalry on Twitter. They do know that they're talking to Twitter, they just don't know who the other person on the other side is. So there's that anonymous part. The second level is Jack has created this anonymous app where all the teens hang out and gossip and chat but it's kind of like Pop the Weasel. At any random point while you're having a conversation with a certain person, or you may be posting online, all of a sudden your account may be revealed, or who your true identity is. Jack has been talking to Pepper, again, anonymously, they don't know who it is, for a while, and he has purposely changed the rules on his end so that they couldn't be, I guess, exposed to one another just yet. He's not really fully ready for that, which I feel like, I like that idea, but also feel it's somewhat unfair because people didn't really get that choice, and they do. And so there's that anonymous thing. So talking to each other anonymously on 2 apps. But in real life, they know each other as 2 different, somewhat co-captains of 2 different swim teams at the school. I believe one does like regular swim and one does a different type of swim. I don't remember this. I don't know a lot about swim sports and anything. Like, honestly, I don't go in the water ever. And so this is a wild ride just with those 3 levels. And the characters are just about to go to college, so they're really trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives. You know, Jack's family really wants him to take over the family business, and Pepper really doesn't want to do that in her family either. She doesn't really know. She knows she wants to be A+ star student, go to Harvard, Princeton, things like that, but she's really struggling to figure out that's really what she wants to do, that's the right thing for her to do, and to prepare herself for those interviews and things like that for that. And also just really dealing with how that will affect her and her family, just because some of her family is already separated as it is. And the last book that I have here is The Poet X. So this is obviously amazing, okay, if I do say so myself. This is a poetry collection by Elizabeth Acevedo that tells a story. Again, it is poetry, but it does still tell a pretty decent story about a Black teenager, I do also believe Hispanic or Afro-Latina, who has started to do a lot of poetry, and unfortunately her family is not the most accepting of it, but she really likes that poetry side of her because it really tells a lot of stories, it lets her emotions out, it's really powerful, and she wants to continue doing that. But she's also going through, you know, as a teenager, going through some of those life stages as a teenager, you know, puberty, boys, life, figuring out college, what she wants to do with her life, curiosity about certain things, and it was just amazing. This really did talk about like body, you know, woman's body, how we feel in certain things in our life. It was amazing. I highly recommend this. Alright, so that's all the books that I have recommended for you guys today. Unfortunately, I could not recommend any more. I'm running out a little bit of time, but I really hope that you guys consider picking up any of these books, or at least picking up any of the ideas that I gave, or maybe checking out my other video where there's a lot more tips there. Good luck on your reading goals. I will hopefully see you talking about it on Twitter and online. Might be snooping on Goodreads, you know, don't mind me. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.